Americans owe a debt of gratitude to 37-year-old Chase Doak of Billings, Montana. Chase is the amateur photographer who took the famous picture of the Chinese spy balloon on February 1st, 2023. Some Montana residents reported seeing an unusual object in the sky around the time of the Billings airport shutdown on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. But it wasn't clear what they were seeing was the balloon. From an office window in Billings, Montana, Chase Doak said he saw a big white circle in the sky that he said was too small to be the moon. Chase took some photos, then ran home to get a camera with a stronger lens and took more photos and video. Chase could see the spy balloon for about 45 minutes, and it appeared stationary, but Chase said the video suggested it was slow moving. "I thought maybe it was a legitimate UFO," Chase said, "so I wanted to make sure I documented it and took as many photos as I could." Some say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's one way Doak, a photography hobbyist, expresses himself. Chase said, "I've continued to do photography when I can, but I don't get a whole lot of chances to do it." Highly informed people and military veterans like myself know the dangers of misinformation. Fox 9 News stated that Montana man Chase Doak took his footage using his cell phone, which we know is absolutely not true. In fact, it was Billings Gazette photographer Larry Mayer who first used a large telephoto lens and discovered it was a high-altitude balloon powered by a large solar array. The balloon was also photographed by Billings videographer and former Gazette editor Chase Doak. This article was published on February 4, 2023 in the Billings Gazette that gave Larry Mayer credit for taking the picture. The article stated the President of the United States knew about the presence of the Chinese spy balloon for several days before it was spotted drifting over Montana, but the White House wanted to keep it secret, fearing news of the surveillance balloon would sabotage Secretary of State Antony Blinken's planned diplomatic trip to China, the first such visit in 5 years. That changed when on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, Billings Gazette photographer Larry Mayer, responding to vague reports that the airspace around Billings had been closed, photographed an odd glowing orb high in the sky. Now, I believe that Larry Mayer could have taken the first photograph. Turns out that the UFO was actually a Chinese surveillance balloon, but Doak's photos and video have gone viral, appearing all around the world. It's a complete 180 from what this data analyst at Riverstone Health is used to. Despite Chase Doak's previous digital media experience at the Billings Gazette, it's just crazy. There is more attention than any of my photos or videos have received, and I'm not even in the news anymore, said Doak. While his 15 minutes of fame may be overwhelming, he is thankful for the opportunity. "I'm happy to have played a part in history. I think as a photojournalist, that was something I always wanted to do," Doak said. So why didn't NORAD have the Air Force shoot the Chinese spy balloon over the Aleutian Islands or even Montana? The U.S. military decided not to shoot down the Chinese spy balloon over Alaska because the recovery of the downed balloon would have been much riskier, defense officials told a Senate panel on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. The Biden administration has faced intense criticism over its decision to allow the surveillance balloon to travel over the United States for nearly a week before it was brought down in the Atlantic Ocean near the South Carolina coast. Biden administration officials have said that the decision was made because of the risk to civilians on the ground. But lawmakers, who have become increasingly frustrated over the decision, have questioned why the Chinese spy balloon couldn't have been brought down when it was over water on Alaska's coast. On Friday, February the 10th, 2023, Americans and the whole world finally received an honest, truthful answer. Surprisingly, the answer came from Melissa Dalton. She is the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Defense and Hemispheric Affairs. She is responsible for advising the Secretary of Defense and other senior defense leaders on continuity and mission assurance, homeland defense, and defense support of civil authorities, Arctic and global resilience, and U.S. defense and security policy for Canada, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America. In the CBS News article dated February 10, 2023, Melissa Dalton stated, "A key piece of this is the recovery. For us to be able to exploit and understand this balloon and its capabilities fully, if we had taken it down over the state of Alaska, it would have been a very different recovery operation," Assistant Defense Secretary Melissa Dalton testified at a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense hearing. Conditions off Alaska's Aleutian Islands are very dangerous compared to those on the coast of South Carolina, because the water depths in the Bering Sea quickly plunge from 150 feet to 18,000 feet. Winter water temperatures are in the low 30s Fahrenheit, and some parts are covered in ice, Dalton said. And she further stated, "A key part of the calculus for this operation was the ability to salvage, understand, and exploit the capabilities of the high-altitude balloon," noting that she, Dalton, would share more with senators in a classified hearing. But Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska expressed frustration with the Pentagon that the Chinese spy balloon was not shot down sooner. Murkowski stated that her state of Alaska is the first line of defense for America, and the message to China is, "We've got free range in Alaska." Senator Lisa Murkowski takes Biden administration to task over Chinese spy balloon. And how did the Pentagon answer? If the balloon was brought down over land, the debris could have covered a 20 by 20 mile space, said Lieutenant General Douglas Sims, the Director for Operations of the Joint Staff. Although Alaska is in places not as inhibited as other places, it is inhibited. And without being able to clear that, we wouldn't do that in combat, Sims told senators. "We think before we shoot, and in this case, we thought before we shot," Sims said later. "Once you shoot, you can't take it back." The U.S. is continuing to collect debris from the ocean nearly a week after the balloon was shot down. Senior FBI officials familiar with the operation said bad weather could extend the collection process. The Navy has weighted down the debris still on the ocean floor to prevent it from being moved by the rough seas, a U.S. official said. Underwater pictures of the debris field show the wreckage remarkably intact given its fall from 60,000 feet. Much of the most fruitful and substantial pieces of evidence remain deep underwater, the FBI said. And its lab in Quantico, Virginia, has received the balloon's canopy, wires, and other electronic components that were collected from the water's surface. The FBI is analyzing the remains of the Chinese spy balloon that was downed by the U.S. military jet last weekend, February 4th, 2023, but said that much of the evidence remains underwater in the Atlantic Ocean. It's very early for us to assess what the intent was and how the device was operating, a senior FBI official told reporters in a briefing Thursday, according to NBC News. And what do I, old school, think about all this, having been an eyewitness at the indoor flea market and rollover bakery in North Myrtle Beach on February 4th, 2023? Well, you can see that ground safety really wasn't a concern. Myrtle Beach has 408,000 people living there, plus tourists. There's high power lines and parking lot lights on Highway 17. It's close to the Atlantic Ocean. Nobody blocked it off. No law enforcement. This is the best picture my sister could take with her iPhone 14. I needed a telescopic lens like Chase Doak used to take this famous picture of the spy balloon. Whatever materials were used, they had some kind of cloaking, stealth quality to avoid radar and not allow ordinary cell phones to film the Chinese spy balloon, which looked like a white beach ball in the sky. Now, I'm going to show you my brother-in-law's film footage he took at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In this video clip, you can see contrails from the Raptor F-22 jets, but you can't see the Chinese spy balloon because of its stealth qualities.
You can see the fighter jets circling around. If you listen closely, you can hear them making their roar. Don't know if you can pick up the spy ship or not, but you can see all the stuff going in the sky of all the jets flowing around here. Got a regular air show here.
You see them two jets lighting up? They're gonna take it out.
They're waiting to get it over the ocean.
It'll be over the ocean before they get it, though.
You know,
It's getting pretty close to getting to those.
and then they're going to shoot the bastard down like they should have done a week ago. Here's your tax dollars at work.
A little closer here. There it is right there.